up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele. And welcome to Spitballin. Spitballin, Spitballin.
I love this dude. This is a closer for the New York Mets. All right, he's walking in, and here it hits.
Oh, the horns.
Oh, this shit is sick. All right, I just wanted to share. That's how you come out, dude.
Yeah, that's a hell of an intro.
That's the Mets closer Diaz, and that's how he comes out every time they call him.
Man, he's definitely paying homage to his hometown. He's like, if there was any wonder what his ethnicity was, there's no question to it now. My man came out. Came out to his tunes. I like it. That's a hell of a way to start. Oh, well, let's do the intro real quick. Let's get it popping.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin. Man, we got a great show for you guys today. First off, props to Sal for the great intro from Diaz, the closer for the, what'd you say, for who?
New York Mets, baby.
New York Mets. Nice job, Diaz. Man, I'm excited today. We have a host. I mean, not a host. We have a guest. We have two hosts. We got a guest today. So someone that I worked with years ago.
Reg, pulling in the big guns.
Yeah, someone I worked with years ago at Rooster Teeth Feathers. Great lady, really funny. Been around for a long time. Been hilarious. Nationally torn hairliner. I'm just excited to talk to her and share it with everyone, so they get an intro or some, not intro, but just get some insight into Wendy Liebman. Man, I'm excited. Yeah. So
it took you a while to finally get that intro through.
Yeah, I know. I'm distracted. I'm trying to get set still. I'm sweating like I stole something, right? Or I'm sweating like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
You like that line.
I do like that one. Well, how about this one? What's another good one? Sweating like you got any?
No, nothing that's appropriate for me to say. Oh, Wendy's already logging in. Let's go through some of other credits. I mean, she did Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
I know. I can't wait to talk to her about that.
It's crazy. Larry Sanders, Jimmy Kimmel, Letterman, Fallon, Ferguson, Showtime special, Taller on TV. She did in 2011. Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get to the Carson joint, just because I want to hear how it was, getting to that point, right? Like getting the okay.
America's Got Talent after her car accident. That's a whole other one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to bring her in, Reg? Should we bring her in?
Sure. Let's do it. All right. Well, I just told everyone who she is, but I'd like to welcome to the show a very talented and very funny, very accomplished comedian that I had the honor of working with many years ago. I'm excited to have her today on the podcast. Please welcome to the show, Wendy Liebman.
Oh, for good timing.
Hey, that's excellent. Hello, Wendy.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
We can hear you great. Yeah. Wow, you look great. I love the brick wall behind you.
No, there's really a brick wall behind me.
Oh, there you go. You have one at your house. She's like, I'm always prepared to do a show.
Cool spot she records in.
Now, where are you guys?
I am currently in Oakland, California.
And I am in East Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
East Hollywood being Eagle
Sunset.
Rock?
No, Sunset Normandy, like right between Los Feliz and West Hollywood.
Got it. I'm west of you. So
yeah.
I grew up in East Hills, New York.
Okay.
Now I live in West Hills, California.
Oh, funny.
Hills, West. Nice. I like the theme. I like the directional theme, keeping it going. So Wendy, how are you?
I'm good. Although yesterday I was stung by a bee.
Whoa.
I stepped on it.
Oh, wow. You're not allergic though, are you?
Not on purpose. No, I'm not allergic, but I'm allergic to other things. So I was so freaked out. I was alone. And I just kept saying to myself, keep calm, keep calm, keep
Okay.
calm. Where's the Benadryl? But I felt so much pain, like more pain than I have felt in 30 years.
Okay. See, I was gonna
Wow.
ask because it's been a long time since I got stung by a bee, right? So I
Yeah. Are
remember
you allergic?
I'm not. I am not allergic. But I just remember that it hurt. It hurt enough that it traumatized me for the rest of my life. That I'm like, yo, I see a bee, I will run like it's a dinosaur. Like it's
Well, my husband always says, don't walk barefoot outside. But I was just letting the dog out and I stepped on the mat and I felt like severe pain. And I was like, this isn't funny though.
No, it's
I
okay.
No, but
got-
it's real though.
It can be. It can be. I'm going to watch the Bee movie tonight, the Seinfeld
Okay.
movie
Oh, that's a good one.
in honor. But I thought it was glass. I thought I stepped on glass.
Oh,
And then I
wow.
saw the bee, and then I found the bee this morning in my bedroom. It was dead because they die after they sting you.
Yeah,
So I
but
don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if the dog brought it in.
he's stalking you. He's looking for you.
But I'm like, don't sting me twice. And then I found out it's only the females that sting.
Yeah.
And then they die. So
When you answered
When
the
you took your
question-
foot up, was it dead?
No, it couldn't have been.
well, I think it was like struggling
Like, I wonder
Okay.
how long do they have to live after the sting?
to see their dirty work.
Look what
You know,
I
though-
did.
They're like, let me into heaven, into bee heaven.
Right. Well, the thing is, too, is for a bee to be in that position, like not doing its work, collecting pollen and stuff, that means that it was probably on its way out because their radar gets knocked off, like their GPS gets knocked off when they're getting close to dying. So that's probably why it was there.
What was he
Like,
doing on the ground?
But that's what I'm saying. Like usually they're doing their work, but when they're
I think I know what he was doing. He was trying to eat a dog biscuit that was outside, or a little piece of kibble, because I stepped on that as well.
so the bee was finally he was done with honey. He was like, I can't do it. I want something else.
He needed protein.
Needed some protein.
Protein without the grain. That's what I feed the dog.
Nice.
I have
Great.
the craziest dogs. They're called Jindo, and they're from
Okay.
Korea. They're from South Korea. Wait, which one is the good Korea? South Korea.
They're
In the South, yes.
And they are as trainable as a carrot. I'm just trying to make you laugh, but it's true. They are they're hunters, and
Okay.
so we live like there's enough room for them to run around in the backyard without feeling deprived. But we take them out once a day, and it's their favorite time of the day, and it's our least favorite time because they're hunters. So they're always trying to pull you. So I invented a new workout machine
Okay.
where it pulls you, something makes you keep walking up a hill.
Okay.
Because I couldn't walk that hill if I wasn't being pulled.
Okay.
And so now my legs are really strong. But what I wanted to tell you is their nature is to hunt. So that's all they can I swear on this?
Absolutely.
Of course.
That's
Yes.
all they can fucking think about. Getting out and hunting. Like me with Cheez-Its. So so the other morning my husband wakes me up. He's on his way to physical therapy. It's before 7 in the morning. And he says, Gemma got out through the fence. And we've had them 3 years. So
Okay.
she was working on it. It was like the fucking Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Nice.
She got out, and for 2.5 hours, he had to go to physical therapy. So for 2.5 hours, I chased her on foot in my car. I got all the neighbors involved, and we finally got her back.
Nice.
But yeah, I met then I lost my car because I forgot where I parked it in the friends. But anyway, enough about me. I have just done nothing but talk about me.
No, it's great. It's great. But I just want to ask you this in regards to the dogs. Are they small dogs, medium sized, big dogs? Like,
Yeah,
what's
I
the
just
size?
pulled up a picture. here.
35, 40 pounds.
Okay. Okay.
And they can escape any. No, that's
Oh.
not my. Oh, you want mine?
Oh no, I didn't want your specific.
Oh,
I just
okay.
showing the breed.
That's a pretty
That's-
dog, though.
I didn't prepare.
Mine
that
are even
detail.
cuter, but I can't. find a picture. I have to find a picture. Oh, here. I just happen to have pictures.
Okay.
But
You came prepared. I like that.
well,
8
no,
by 10s.
they're just on my desk. They're pictures. Okay, so this is them when they were little. This is the day we got them. Wait, I have to get the right. It's like
Oh yeah, there.
Oh,
it is.
yeah, okay.
so
Yeah.
cute, right? So
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Are they
This
related?
is-
Were they brother and sister?
They were brought over together, but they're
Yeah.
not related.
Okay.
And one's a girl and one's a boy.
Okay.
And this, oh, you can't even see it. She
Oh,
destroyed,
Oh, I see you standing up.
but she destroyed it. This is frustrating, but she destroyed a pillow.
A pillow.
She ate her bed, basically. She ate her bed. But our lives are completely designed around the dogs.
Okay.
Like I never had a child. Either of you?
I have a
Reggie's got
son.
one.
Yeah, I have a son. He's 9.
Oh, congratulations. I haven't seen you in like 17 years.
Damn,
Has it been
is that long?
I don't know if it's been that
Well,
long.
I see you online. I love following you online, and I'll
Thank
have to
you.
follow you, Sal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Back
I
at
love
you.
following you too. I read your Twitter feed like every day. I swear to you. I'm like, we'll get into it, but I can sit and just read all your tweets. I'll go back and read old tweets, even tweets that I've read before. I go back and read them in love. Just so funny. Like, do you sit and write jokes all day? Like, I don't even, or is it just?
It's
Are you-
weird. As I've gotten older, I mean, this is the one thing about being a stand-up. I think we get funnier looking anyway.
I got that on lock. I've had that on lock from the beginning. That goes back to middle school for me. So,
No, so handsome, both of you. I'm like
so,
your
yeah,
your
I just-
Jewish
oh, thank you,
stepmother.
thank
Like your Jewish stepmother. But
about
I
time. I
think
needed
we
one.
get I think we get funnier because we realize that, I mean, I think everybody could get funnier because we realize what else is there to do? You just have to make light and not take life seriously, but recognize the humor in life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, is there a part of maybe just with getting older, you kind of just let go of things, right? Like you don't care about as much to some degree, and you're not worried about other people's opinions and ideas, and so it kind of
Because we
frees
can't
you.
remember what we can't remember what we were upset
What we cared about.
No, but it really is true. Like, well, a couple of years ago, I was hit by a car. I think you may have read that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And-
2014, drunk driver, right?
Well, that was 2014 or 13. It's debatable. But no, this was 2018, where
Oh,
I was
didn't know that.
walking.
Okay.
I was walking across the street, and a sober woman hit me.
Oh, wow.
And
Did you know her? You didn't know her, did you?
I didn't know.
Okay,
It
she
wasn't, on-
friend-
it wasn't,
Yeah, it's just
wasn't
you never-
intentional.
Okay.
She friends
Just-
with that
like-
bee.
Yeah, just want to make sure. I'm like, because you're like a sober
Um,
woman hit me. I'm like, really? That sounds like a person.
Well, no, because the
So-
first one was a drunk driver,
Right.
Okay.
but
right.
neither of us was hurt. The car was totaled.
Oh,
But
thank
thing
goodness.
about the car, though, it was totaled only because they worried about the engine and the transmission, but it looked perfectly fine. So,
Oh, wow,
and it
okay.
saved our life. Like the woman in the car next to us died.
Oh.
So that was in 2013 or 14.
Okay.
This
What-
was
what kind of car were you guys-
2018. I was hit by the car.
Okay. I
We
was gonna
were
say,
in a Jetta.
oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I was just thinking, you said the car was fine, right? I'm like, sounds like a really good car. So the Jetta.
I
okay.
know. So I feel guilty driving a Volkswagen because they are made by Germans, but
Yeah, I was thinking
guys,
about that.
my
I was thinking
my
about
uncle
that.
my uncle's in the business, so I get a deal. God, I sound really old and Jewishy, but
You're hilarious.
anyway, so I was hit by the car, and what I realized when I was healing, they tell you that your bones have to knit together. Like that's what happens when you're healing a broken bone. And I felt like I was doing that with all my friends too. Like they were coming over and I just felt like we got closer and closer.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it wasn't all a bad experience.
Well, what broke? What did you break?
So the fib tib, and
Okay.
then both feet were a little crushed.
Oh my goodness.
So
Whoa.
yeah.
Well, so sorry
I
that happened to you, but I'm glad you're okay.
Hey, you know what? I think life is a series of things that wake you up. And that was one of my big ones. And the irony is that the woman who hit me was a personal injury lawyer.
Wow.
Wow, that's
wow.
She didn't try to give you her business card, did she? Oh, I'm so sorry, but by the way, here's my card. I apologize, and I'll make sure you get as much as you can.
Oh my God. I did. I got all that I could.
Okay.
Let me ask you, you've been in 2 accidents in this close of a time. Are you like, I mean, is it mess with your head at all, even getting behind the wheel now?
Do not hang out with me.
As long as we're Go ahead. No, because you were walking the second. You weren't driving. You were walking the second time. So
first time we were driving, and my husband was driving.
Okay.
And it seriously has impacted his life. He does not like to drive. He also doesn't like when I drive, so going out is really scarce. But no, I do feel a little accident prone with the bee sting yesterday.
Yeah.
And then after I never got COVID though.
Oh wow! Congratulations on that.
Have you had COVID?
I got it in May. I dodged it like Neo in the Matrix, right? And then all of a sudden in May, I don't know where I got it from. I don't know. I did all the contact tracing. No one else had it. I just got it from somewhere. So yeah.
I got it in December.
Yeah.
And how long did it last for each of you?
You want to go first, Al?
Well, I just got boosted 3 weeks before, so I didn't expect anything. And it was the first time I went to a party with no mask on, a little holiday party. And then, but honestly, like 4 days later, it hit me, and it only was a few days, like really rough, which was nice. And then, that was all. It wasn't too bad after that.
Did you lose weight?
No, no. I had a little sore throat.
Looking for the upside.
No benefits, right?
I don't know real benefit. Luckily, I didn't lose my sense of smell or anything. Like my girlfriend's mom lost her sense of smell, and to this day, a year later, still can't have peanut butter without it smelling like garbage.
Oh wow!
And I love peanut butter.
And honestly, you can't see Sal. He's very thin. If he lost any more weight, he'd disappear. No, so for me, I got it in May, and it started on Tuesday. I kind of got nauseous in the middle of the day out of nowhere. I was like, that's weird. And then that night I tested positive. It was like, once I got the positive test, then everything happened. And I had the fever, I had the chills, the body aches. And then the worst part was I had this massive headache, like behind my eye. Like if I could point, right? It was right behind my eyes, a little high. And it felt like my head was going to explode from the inside out, right? So it lasted for me really bad for like 24 to 36 hours, right? That was it. And then I took Tylenol to help with the headache, and that cut the fever. And I did that I tested 5 days later. I was still positive. I tested 10 days later, then I was finally negative. But the other part was I sweat profusely. I drank tons and tons of water. I was just drenched in sweat. So, so it was bad for like
your
36
body
hours.
was trying to, because after the shot, my first vaccine, I had Johnson and Johnson, which is like
Me too.
play school, right? And it's like the dollar store version.
It's the Mervin's version. It's like the Ross. It's the Ross of
So-
vaccines.
I sweat after I got the shot. That was my reaction to the shot. Is I sweat profusely for days and days.
Mm.
And then after the first, but I sort of lost my sense of taste.
Ooh.
But it wasn't like a COVID symptom. It was more like it felt like mint on my tongue all the time. And I thought, okay, I just bought this new bathroom scrubbing bubbles cleaner for the toilet. And maybe I'm allergic to that. So I got rid of all of those in the house.
Okay.
So that persisted 9 more months where I felt this weird sensation on my tongue. And then I got the booster. The first booster was Pfizer. And 3 weeks later, I'm not saying they're connected, but I'm not saying they're not connected. I broke out in shingles.
Oh,
Wow.
Shingles are rough too. That hurt. They hurt.
You know what? You guys should just stay away from
Oh my gosh.
Good thing this is online.
Yeah.
Okay, so the shingles were all up in here and around my eye.
I'm
And
so
they
sorry.
say if it gets into your eye, you could go blind. And if you get it in your ear,
Mhm.
you get what Justin Bieber just had, which is
Oh yeah, I've heard about. Yeah, I
raised
think it was.
hunt, where
okay.
your whole face droops.
Oh,
Anyway, I dodged that bullet.
yeah. Okay.
And then I had the second booster, I had Moderna. So I have had one of each.
You've had them all.
Yeah. I like that
So
you went
I
for the
haven't
you went for the trifecta. You're covering all your bases.
That's right.
Right. Wow. Okay. And the shingles, man, the shingles are tough. I mean, I've never had them, but I know people who have. And yeah, I'm
You
sorry.
know, I didn't get the vaccine against that because I had the COVID vaccine. I didn't want to overload my body.
Right.
And a friend of ours had said he had a really bad reaction to the vaccine.
Mhm.
And so I didn't get the vaccine.
You know,
But I think I will now because you can get it again.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting with this whole vaccine situation because I know people who obviously had adverse reactions to it, right? And then I know people who were like, yeah, nothing. I mean, my shoulder hurt for a couple of days and that was it. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. You know,
It's affected everyone different, even COVID. It's crazy how
Right.
we have all had different reactions. Me, I just got a big lump right here when I get the vaccine
Oh, wow.
from my lymph
Really?
nodes swelling up. Yeah. But that was it. It was weird.
Yeah.
I still have a bruise from the initial, and it still hurts
From the Johnson-
initial.
From the Johnson and Johnson one.
And it could have been the way she administered it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not blaming J&J, a family company.
Shopping at Mervin's, that's what you get.
Hey, I got that one too. I got the J&J. And
Right.
I kept looking for side effects. Like I was like, okay, is there something happening here? Like, is there? And
Right.
nothing. Oh, I will say this. I got the shot. My left arm was just slightly numb, right? Just a little bit numb. Like I could feel a little bit of tingling in my fingers. And I guess that was a part of it at the time. So, but that subsided after like 4 days, maybe 5 days of like just kind of being aware of it. And then since then, nothing.
All right, so that concludes our medical portion of the show.
Well, I was going to say this. This is what's interesting about medicine, right? And we don't have to get into a whole big thing, but because we're all different individually, right? It's hard to have one medical system for everyone because we do respond to things differently. Like ideally, the medical system should be catered to the individual, but I know that's too hard to, you know.
Now it's just catered to the rich.
Yeah, they're like, well, if only 8, they're like only 8 people died, so the majority of people, okay, we can use it, right?
Well, you know, I've heard stories of people who have such physical pain and nothing relieves it except acupuncture.
Mm.
So,
I mean,
Yep.
you know, it's very individual. We have a friend who runs a cancer organization called Concern, and they raise money for cancer research. And he said everybody's cancer is different.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just unique, like you. He also said when he got the vaccine for COVID that it was almost like a shot that made him better. Like he felt
Wow.
so healthy.
Like it
afterward.
gave him like a steroid, like it boosted him.
Yeah.
Wow. See,
And I also read today that bee stings can be medicinal for rheumatoid arthritis, which I don't have, but maybe it'll store up in case I do get it.
You're gonna see Wendy stomping bees left and right now.
You guys are funny.
No, that's you. You are hilarious.
I want to learn about Wendy. So you came up in New York, right? Doing stand-up. Is that correct or no?
I grew up in New York.
She
You
grew
up in New York, but you did stand-up
then
in
I
the
went-
West?
I went to Boston for college.
Oh.
And then I was going to be a therapist.
Oh wait, where'd you go to Boston? Where'd you go to school in Boston?
It's a little outside of Boston. It's Kentucky State. No, I went
Kentucky
went-
State, Boston.
just doing jokes for you guys. I went
no,
to
you're awesome.
Wellesley. I went to
Okay.
Wellesley, but I wanted to go to Brown, but I was waitlisted, and I'm still waiting. But I went to Wellesley, and then after college, I did a little bit of psych research, and
Yeah, I saw that. I did.
I decided I didn't want to deal with people like me. So
Yeah, I saw that I saw you got your degree in psychology initially, right?
yeah,
Okay. So did you want to be a therapist? Was that the thought going into it?
yes. So I'm thinking about taking it up again. So tell me, I mean, I never was a therapist. I was training to be. So tell me some of your problems.
You know what? I'm gonna say this right now, and Sal doesn't even know this, but I started therapy about a little over a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah, and it has honestly been like probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
wow,
Right.
Reginald.
And based on what my therapist said, I'm very accomplished. But I feel like this is honestly probably the biggest accomplishment for me. Like, yeah. So it's been very eye-opening and revealing, and this is not about
Wow.
me right now, but it's been a very positive experience for me.
Did your wife
I-
finally make you go? Is that what happened?
No, she didn't finally make me go. Okay, fine. Right? No, but I will say this: she has been recommending it for years. But just for the record, my wife she's a clinical
Therapist, yeah.
psychologist. She's a therapist. She has 2 masters and a doctorate in psychology, and that's what she does, right? Although now she's
Wow.
working with Kaiser and something else, but
Is
but
she ever
yes.
going to become a comedian?
Yeah, start doing open mics.
I hope not.
That is amazing, Reggie. I mean, I have asked my husband to go, but could I get a court order?
You could, but it may not get the results you want. That's all. So
But was there not, I'm not prying
No,
as
it's all
to
good.
what it was, but was there a triggering incident?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, not a triggering incident per se. Well, no, I could kind of say there was a triggering incident, but what it was for me personally was that there was a point where something happened, and I was at a crossroads where I had to make a choice, and the choice was I either maintain the same pattern that I had been going on and keep creating the same scenario, right? Repeating the same behavior, or I do something different. And for me in that moment, I just had this moment of this epiphany where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I need to figure out why I do that thing. Right. And so it's kind of honestly, it might be like I'm 48 now. So it's kind of like a midlife crisis. And it's just like this awareness of how I've coped and how I've managed. And, my whole life story is bananas. We don't have time for it now, but it's just a lot of things that I realize that I've learned how to just manage and cope with. Right. And they're not necessarily the best way to do things, but I've been able to like function well within society, right? Like I can maintain relationships and I have good friendships and I can take care of myself and I don't abuse myself. You know what I mean? I don't drink and I don't smoke and I'm not like into drugs or anything. So I've managed to cope really well. So, yeah, I know.
I don't know how to do the emoji.
This is me. I'm very square, right? So, but you know, there's also just ways that I've learned how to interact and deal and with myself and not even putting myself first and happy. It's a whole big thing, but it's been really good. It's been really good.
Are you going to the first therapist you saw, or did you audition them?
I went to the first therapist I saw. She was recommended by someone, and so I was like, all right, well, let's just try it, right? And everyone's always like, well, you don't have to stay. You know, you can see how you like it, and if you don't like it, then you can find someone else. But out the gate, this person was really, I felt very welcome. I felt at ease. She made me feel really comfortable. And before I knew it, it was just like, it starts to come.
Well, you were ready for it.
I was ready for it. Yeah, I absolutely.
Let's all take a breath.
Yeah. Really.
I'm so happy for you. You're glowing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, that's kind of the ring light too, but I hear you.
Oh. I know now I just bring a ring light wherever I go.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I had a flashlight, but if you hold it in the wrong place, it can look creepy, right? So I used to walk around my own spotlight. So I was always on. So yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. So the idea of like psychology, because I love psychology in college. That was one of my favorite classes, psychology and social psych. I love learning about people and their behaviors in society and how things affect you and how it plays out. Love it. So
well, that's why you're good with the crowd.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Did you get your degree and then do stand-up?
So I only got an undergraduate degree. I'm not like Reggie's wife. I never got a master's or a PhD. I feel like I have my PhD in stand-up though. Don't you guys?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure. There's no question about that.
So, yeah, but I was doing psych research and then I was like, this is depressing and I need to do something fun at night. And I've told this story so many times. I wonder if it's true. I took the mail in from the wrong apartment building one day.
Okay.
And in it was a course catalog for an adult ed center, like the Learning Annex, but it was a one-off. It was the Cambridge Center for Adult Education, where somebody wrote the movie, I can't think of the name of the movie, but Joy Luck Club. Mm. And so they had like people go through their adults, and I saw an acting class, and I always was an actress when I was little. Now I can't act. Now I've been told I couldn't even do porn. But
hilarious. Oh my goodness.
But I wanted to take this acting class. So I took the acting class, and mid-class, like at the break, the teacher quit. And so
wait, are you serious? The teacher quit?
Must have been some bad actors in that room.
The owner came. It had nothing to do with me, I don't think. I would actually blame myself, but I think he was just having a moment. So they were like, instead of refunding your money, you can take another class. So I keep flipping the page. I never returned the course catalog. And I saw How to Be a Stand-Up Comedian.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I don't know what your guys' experience was, but it was like, like I felt the angels.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And my teacher was a guy named Ron Lynch, who spent a lot of time in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think Diane was talking about him.
Improv Diane Amos.
Diane Amos. The Pine Sol lady. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. She studied with him, improv with him. So she mentioned, we had her on the show early, like a long time ago, and she was talking about him. So,
wow.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I took the class, and basically it was an excuse to get together with like-minded people, and then we would go to Grendel's bar and drink beer.
That's
And
awesome.
that it was basically like a community.
Right.
And there was one other comedian that came out of there, Vinny Favorito. He's a resident in Vegas, and he runs a showroom there now. But yeah, I just kept doing it, and nobody has stopped me. So because sometimes I wonder, like, maybe my friends want to tell me to stop doing it, but they don't dare. Like, I had really short hair in the 80s, and somebody was interviewing me, and he was like, "Why did you have such short hair?" And I'm like, I guess I didn't have any friends. Like, nobody told me.
I remember
Oh,
watching
yeah.
I think it was your Carson set, and you had the short hair and you were referencing it.
Yes.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
so was this in the Boston area still when you started?
That's a rich
With Ron
comedy
Lynch
scene.
and all them?
I was there for 6 years. Yes,
Oh,
I was there
wow.
for
Okay.
6 years, and I did all the clubs there. Whilst I still had a day job, I was a administrative assistant, secretary. I was a secretary. I was really bad, though. I gave a lot of mixed messages. Just doing material.
You're hilarious. I love it.
You're really
I love
great.
it.
You can tell she's a great.
Oh,
she's
the
quick,
timing
you
is
know?
it's
Yeah.
incredible. Like this is all.
But you know what? Here's my problem. Here's my problem with my
Okay.
comedy. I can't remember my set because I'm 61.
You're 61? I would no
Born in
way.
1961. And yeah, I can't remember my set. So doing Zoom shows has been great because I
Oh,
always
yeah.
had the script on top. You know, it's like having a teleprompter. That's
Right.
what I need.
Right.
I need a teleprompter.
Well, I mean, Wendy, you're so creative, right? And you're so funny. It doesn't matter whether you remember whatever you've forgotten, it doesn't matter because whatever you come up with is equally as funny, right? Yeah, I'm so serious. Because remember, I got to sit in the back of the room and watch you every night after going up and doing my set and having a good time. I just watch you go up and slay. I was like, oh, she's so, and I had known of you right prior to that. So I was super excited when I got the week. And then to sit there and be able to watch you perform every night and have you just deliver and just kill and kill and kill. And then you were so nice and so sweet. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I love Wendy Liebman
Oh my
forever.
God, I felt the same way about you, but they have never asked me back.
Well, they're closed now. No,
They're
but
closed. They don't
they're
exist
closed.
anymore.
They don't
So
exist anymore. So it's not you. It's
COVID
not
killed
you.
them.
Wait, what club closed?
Rooster T. Feathers in Sunnyvale.
It did?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's no longer. Yeah. Now the building's still there, so there's still hope, right? But I don't know if Heather's gonna reopen. No one's heard from her as far as in regards to what her plans are, or if she's gonna sell. Because prior to Heather, there was somebody else who owned it, and so maybe someone else
Well,
will come through.
I think you guys should pitch in.
I would honestly, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, really.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'd make some changes. I
Yeah,
would
hell
definitely.
hath no fury, like a comic who books their own club.
Yeah, really. I make myself the host. I make myself the house host,
MC.
right?
House
The house,
everything.
yeah, the house MC, and then I come up and be like I'm the house MC, and then I do a guest set, right?
You would have you would have so much stage time.
I do too much. I don't think anyone should
Oh my
do
God,
time
I
after
like
the
that
headliner.
idea.
No one should do time after the headliner, right? If you own your own comedy club, it's
Well,
like,
one time I was in DC once, and Dave Chappelle came to the club because he was there for a family thing.
okay,
And he went on after me. I
yeah,
was the headliner, and he went on for 2 hours.
yeah. He's done that in San Francisco too. So you're not the first one.
Yeah.
He's done it to other people. They come in.
Really?
The audience is like, "Yay, great job!" He's like, "Well, hold up, folks, real quick. There's a surprise guest." People are like tired of, they're tallying up, and it's like, "What? Okay, I guess
Right.
I
it's just
saw
like, yeah.
I saw Rich Voss do that once. I worked with Rich Voss and Chappelle came in, and then Voss and then Dave goes up and tells a story about how when he first met Voss, when he was a young kid in DC, and he went up to him, he's like, "Hey, this is young kid Dave. He's coming up." And Rich goes, "That's great, kid. Now go get me a coffee." And then Dave like sat on the stage and he goes, "Nah, that's great, Rich. Go get me a coffee."
Oh, revenge.
So funny.
Wow.
So Wendy, let me ask you this real quick before you go on. You wanted to act early. Were you funny growing up as a kid, or was there humor in the house? Was there someone funny in that, like a dad, or uncle, or mom, brother?
I'm going to answer you both two ways, like in
Okay.
a funny way and then the serious way.
Okay, let's go for it.
But, growing up, well, I got my sense of humor from my parents, and that's why they don't have one anymore. You know what? I
Took it
think I
all.
was, I think I was funny. Well, my mother says I was always funny. Like my lemonade stand had a 2-drink minimum. And I made snow devils.
Oh, that's funny.
So I had a sense of humor, but then I got very like broody and depressive from like 11 to 22.
Wow.
And but I was really funny in a college interview when I wanted to be the head of the dorm, not the RA, but like they had one position where it was like the RA's RA. And I wanted to do that because it was room and board for free. So also I had more of a leadership quality in my 20s. And in order to, I was voted in, but also I had to be selected by a committee. So the committee, I was so funny.
Oh.
And I've read now that humor works in every kind of group situation. I wasn't funny to the point of being ludicrous or unserious because they needed somebody who could be like the head of the house.
Right.
So, but I used humor, and I think that really scored for me. So, I always think that humor, when you make a joke and everybody laughs together, it's like you're all breathing together at the same time. And I think that calms you down. It does something to your brain.
Yeah, humor can diffuse any situation, right? Like,
Right.
humor is you make someone laugh, you can almost get away with anything.
Well, even like I remember when I first moved here and I befriended guys who only spoke Spanish, and we could still make each other laugh without even able to speak, which was pretty cool.
Right.
You know, just
Yeah.
hand gestures and little comments.
Wow.
awesome.
So where do you work out in LA? I don't mean work out. I mean, like,
Well,
Look at those arms.
I-
He doesn't work out.
I had my own show I was running in Silver Lake. So I was doing that every other week, and that was going good. But that place just closed. So yeah, right now just hitting mics when there's a place. Oh, you know that Oino Vino? It's in Atwater Village. A friend of mine runs that. So like stuff like that. But yeah, I hate doing them. I'll be honest. I hate doing open mics. It's they're just so saturated down here. Though you're always asking people for stage time. Where up in SF, almost that's where I came up doing comedy. People would ask you after a while. You know what I mean? You became like, but then you become the big fish in the little pond. So then you come down here and then you drown, Wendy.
and then you're a guppy.
Then you're
You're
a
a gold,
tadpole.
you're a cheddar goldfish.
Man, how?
Well, what made you move here?
I was doing good in SF and I was acting, and I just did a part for Spike Lee and he booked me on something. So then I was like, oh, sweet. So then I came down here, but had no agent gave a shit that I worked with Spike Lee or any of my other stuff. And it was just, I had a crappy agent for a couple years, never booked anything really. And now I'm just, doing my, doing stand up, trying to put on my own thing and do the road when I can and this shit. And yeah, I've lost the touch on acting, and I liked acting, and I thought I was good at it, but you know, there's so
He
much.
stayed busy. When he was in the Bay, he was busy all the time.
Yeah,
He
I was
always
getting
booking.
work up there,
Yeah.
but down here, it's just the amount of like up in the Bay, there's 7 agents. So anything that comes up in the Bay, you're gonna get audition for. I got to audition for Woody Allen film. Not that that's something to talk about now, but but you got all these
Woody
opportunities.
Allen.
Right.
Yeah, Reggie and I both got to do an NBC show because of that, and that was great. But then you come down here, and I remember looking, and there's thousands. It's insane, and there's so many crappy ones, and then you get a crappy one, and they can't get anybody. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, it's an age-old tale. Like you hear that side of the story so often, right? Where what's his name? Tom Sawyer, comedian out of Seattle. I don't know if you guys know
That's
who
the
he is.
owner of Cobb's. You think
No, they
else.
have the same name. That's why I
Oh,
remember.
weird.
Him. Yeah, his name was Tom Sawyer. He was a comedian out of Seattle. He was basically a headliner. He was headlining Seattle, and he was on the road doing the Pacific Northwest and then kind of the Midwest and whatever else, and had credits, the whole thing. And I remember him telling me, he was like, I waited to move to LA. I was already established and doing a thing. And he goes, and I show up in LA as a nationally touring headliner with credits. And they're like, yeah, get in the line, right? Like go in the back. He was like, I could barely get 5 minutes at different places. It was like, no matter what I did outside of Los Angeles, I showed up in LA and they were like, they didn't care. They're like, yeah, well, yeah, good for you. And so he stayed for several years, and then eventually moved back to Seattle and kind of figured this thing out. But,
And does he still do comedy?
does he? I think he still does, actually. I think he still does, but he's made his living just, trying, not in LA, like not trying to be in the LA scene at all, right? Because LA is really about television, right? And
I wouldn't know.
So are you here?
Yeah. So he still works, but I think he's working, like I said, he's doing the Midwest and like probably as far as Illinois, right? From Seattle across the country, right? And so,
Well, Sal, when you were talking and my response was, yeah, I thought, wow, I really would have been a shitty therapist.
no, that was actually a good response.
But seriously, I think what you did is so brave. I'm telling myself this as well. Like I moved here, I knew one woman from college, and she was a teacher. Like she wasn't even a stand-up. So I empathize with what I think what you did was amazing, because you always have to push yourself, right? Like right now I've been writing a book of my jokes, like my tweets, right?
Oh yes, okay.
Because I think they should be enjoyed by more than whatever number of followers I have. So I found an artist. She's also a comedian, Teresa Roberts Logan. Teresa Logan Roberts. I'm a little dyslexic. She is the illustrator. She's also a comedian, and it's just something I want to do now. I want to put out a book. I've never written.
That's awesome.
I've never even read a book.
But you've listened to them on audio, right? And
You've only burned them.
It's the same.
I burned a matchbook.
There you go. Oh, Wendy, I think that's amazing. I think that's wonderful, because your tweets are so,
yeah, Reggie talks about your Twitter a lot, actually.
Yeah, because they're so
stoked.
Sal, you don't understand, they're so succinct, right? Like it's a complete thought in very few words, and they're funny. So I could see the book of tweets where it's like you read the line and then boom, read the next one, boom, next. I'm like, that's exciting.
Is the artist gonna animate the tweets?
No, this is gonna be like a printed book. So she's going to just draw her vision of, without giving away a punchline.
Wait, hold up. So it could, like, like the New Yorker cartoons, something similar to that?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's perfect. I'm telling you right now,
that's gonna be
perfect.
Cool.
That is perfect. Yes.
Thank you so much, because
absolutely.
I've never written a book.
No,
Oh,
you
that's
work,
kind
what are you
of,
talking about? Your tweets are the book. That's it. Every day that you write, you're writing the book. I mean, there's this idea that you got to go to a cabin in the woods by yourself and sit down and write out the whole thing.
Right.
No, but you can write out a little bit and then put it together and then submit it to someone,
I
right?
mean, Twitter is my day job.
Yo, I love it. That's awesome.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Because I envisioned doing this years ago when Starbucks had a book division. They were starting
Oh,
to
right.
publish, but they didn't respond. And I am not bitter, or like, I'm very patient. I guess that's my biggest advice
Well,
to anybody is be patient,
right.
because I think everything has a rhythm, and timing is, yeah.
Yeah, I
all
agree.
about timing.
Yes, I agree 100%.
I hope.
Well, I want to say this too. And no, I want to say this real quick because I want to piggyback what you said, the compliment that you gave Sal about being brave. And I've said this to him. When I first met Sal, I mean, we were really young. We were probably like, you were in your early 20s, Sal, 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
Sal moved from Cleveland to California without knowing anyone because he wanted to pursue.
He didn't know anyone.
He didn't know
to
anyone.
get the hell out.
He wanted to get out, but he also wanted to pursue comedy, stand-up. So he moved to the Bay by himself. Within probably 2 years of doing it, 2 or 3 years, Sal was like, yo, I'm quitting my day job where I have a salary and I make a living to
Not
pursue.
a good move.
Well, but
I was
the point
broke
is,
in 5 months after that.
Yo, but he's been able to survive. He's the only person I know that gave up his job that early and still has never gotten a job. Like the dude has been
Wow,
able
what
to
was your job?
everything.
I was selling copiers. I wore a suit every day in San Francisco. And God, I hated the corporate world. I was so depressed in there. I hated it. And I would go do stand-up sometimes in a suit afterwards.
Yeah, I
People
remember
like,
seeing
this
that.
fucking tool. And then yeah, and then like I quit, but then it's been then I've just been like hustling, working at bars and stuff ever since, you know what I mean? But yeah, I couldn't do the day thing. I couldn't do it. It was just it's just getting shit. I don't like being told what to do. And then somebody above you telling you what they're being told, it's all bullshit. You know, I don't know.
All I know is that at a
I
time,
think you should wear a tie. I was gonna say, I think you should wear this suit and tie every day.
Yeah.
Ooh, did I lose you? I lost.
You broke up.
Did I
you
lose
broke up a
you?
little.
No, you're still
you broke
there.
up for a little bit. But Sal is arguably one of the most bravest people I've ever met in
Oh,
regards
well,
to.
thanks, you guys. This is the Wendy
Yeah.
Liebman podcast, not me. Let's go.
So
Yeah, really. No, seriously. I there have been so many opportunities that have come my way because Sal's like, yo, Reg, are you doing the thing? And I go, no. He's like, dude, do the thing. And then that thing turns into
wow.
a stand-up for NBC. 1 of 10 people selected because Sal's like, go to the thing at 7 a.m. And I'm like, all right, well, all right. And then there've been tons of other things. I've had so many opportunities because of this guy. He's one of my favorite people ever. So
Wow.
Too nice.
Well,
Too
you are
nice.
brave too. You
For
are
listening to
brave
him?
too.
I'm going to therapy, Reg.
Oh,
Brave for going to therapy. Yeah.
thank you. Thank
We
you.
all have our like demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wendy, we got to ask you this because he and I both were just, blown away by this. But you did
I'm
Carson.
61.
That's incredible, by the way. You look great. I would have never, seriously, I would have never known.
No way.
But I got to ask you, so because you did Carson, you did all the late night spots, Letterman, right? At this time, obviously looking back and understanding what Johnny Carson meant for stand-up at that time for a comedian, right? Because that was the jumping off point. If you got Carson, that kind of would make you to some degree, right? It can make or break you to some degree. So what was that like, that whole experience and getting it, and how did you get it? Like, how did it come about?
So the Johnny
Wow.
Walker competition. And I didn't win the competition. John Henton did.
Oh,
But
okay. I know John. Oh, he's a good friend. He's a friend of mine. Okay, good.
But yes, he
Living
did a
Single.
parody of the song The Divinals, When I Touch Myself, When I Think About You. Okay. So I didn't win, but in the audience was the booker for the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, Jim
Wow.
McCauley. And he was like, why
Wow.
haven't we seen you before? And I'm like, this is my first time in LA. And so, yeah, he goes, well, would you like to be on the show? And they had me on the next week.
Wow, that's fast.
Wow. And
So
did you do the same set? Okay, go ahead. No, I'll let you finish. 'Cause-
I don't think I did. I made it 5 minutes or whatever they wanted. But Johnny gave me this sign, but it wasn't captured by the camera. So like
oh,
when he gave you that sign, it meant good job. And sometimes he would call you over, and
right.
he didn't call me over. So I was really sad about that, that the audience, like, only the audience saw that, but not the audience at home. So he heard I was upset, and he and Ed McMahon came to my dressing room. And at the time I had 2 friends with me, Ron Lynch and a comedian named James Leamer. His real name is Amir Golan. He did comedy in San Francisco for a while too. And they reminded me what happened, because I don't remember. It was like looking at a holograph. They were in my dressing room and they said, you'll have to come back. That's what they said. So I never did get to go back, but it was a thrill. And I do remember being on the plane going home to Boston, because I still had a day job and I had to work on Monday. And I remember thinking, I can die now. I did the tonight show.
Yeah.
I don't care if this plane goes down. You know, now my priorities have changed.
Right.
Now you're glad you didn't die on that trip.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's still amazing though, to get that opportunity and to have it work out the way it did. I mean, literally see you and then like, how come we haven't seen you? You want to do it? Sure. And the next, like, I mean, for it to happen like that, that's just a confirmation of how funny you are. Right.
Thank you. Times were different then, though, because now you can put yourself out there in so many different ways. It's not even funny. Just doing this. You didn't even have this.
Well, see,
hey, we didn't have GPS. What?
No,
Reggie?
really. Well, no, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what was one of the biggest differences to that time compared to now, and how do you feel about that? You know,
for me, it's cell phones and GPS, because I lived in Boston and I would perform in Boston, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Connecticut, and then every night, like somewhere. And I was always more nervous driving to the show, finding the show, like finding the venue, than I was performing.
Right.
So if I had had a GPS, I wouldn't have had to obsess about that. I would have like on a piece of paper, that a napkin from lunch, I had written down, turn left at the driveway, not hard.
Yes.
It has
hilarious.
It has gravel.
I mean, prior to that, it was really just stopping and asking people, you know where this place is? Yeah, go down here. And then, you know. But
my God, nobody believes this story, but I swear on my life, this is true. So I'm driving to New Hampshire and I start daydreaming, and I think, did I pass my exit? I think I passed my exit. So I'm freaking out. I'm a nervous driver, not anymore, but I was so nervous. And I pulled to the side and I thought, okay, calm down. What can you do? At least you weren't stung by a bee. And I literally looked at the bottom of my shoe, because I remembered that they were made in New Hampshire, and on the bottom of my shoe was a map of New Hampshire.
Shut up.
No way.
I swear to God. I have tried to find these shoes before, because I looked at the bottom of my shoe and I was like, oh, I didn't pass my exit.
Wow. Those are some amazing shoes, by the way. I mean, the detail of that map is amazing, that you can really reference it. Wow. That's awesome. I mean, that's
the most that's changed for me. Also, I never was around when you had to bring people to shows, because everybody was going to shows.
Right.
Oh man, that must have been nice.
Yeah.
You didn't have to beg anyone.
Oh,
why do you still have to do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, just trying to get people there. Yeah, a lot of times there's some places that
Yeah, I don't
require it,
think.
and you just kind of avoid those.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think bringer shows are as prevalent as they used to be, and I don't think they're as popular because obviously, if it's bringer shows, then the quality of comedy is not that great, and so people kind of shy
Caught
away from
on.
those shows now. Yeah, they've caught on it like, nah, this is not what it is right now. So I think the biggest thing that I've noticed with comedy that I personally that affects my my view of it is I remember going to the club and sitting in the back of the room and watching these headliners who have been on the road, who had done it for years, that honed this craft, and they get it for 45 to an hour and just murder, just kill the room, right? And you go, this is what it is. And now it's like I go to these shows and I'm like, I don't know this person from anything. They haven't been on the road. They kind of did a thing online that was funny, that caught on. And so I'm watching these people and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching, I hate to say this, but I feel like I'm watching like features trying to like take that 25 over an hour, right? And so the quality of it just isn't there for me the same, right? And I'm not really into everybody's thing. It's so much, like it's almost oversaturated for me to the point that there's so much going on in so many different places that I can't see everybody and everything. But that's just me. So, and maybe I'm
No,
just
I
old
feel
at
like
this
there
point.
are, what?
I said, maybe I'm just old now. Like maybe it's like, I liked it when the comics actually worked.
No, I mean, I would go to Catch a Rising Star in Cambridge, Massachusetts, every night that I wasn't working myself and watch the headliner. And it was everybody from Richard Belzer to Grace Under Fire. I'm blanking on her name. And
I think about
Brett Butler.
Brett Butler.
Yeah.
Okay, Brett Butler.
So yeah, it was a different time. It really
Yeah.
was. Like
Yeah,
now
I
I
mean-
see a lot of comedians go up and go, so what can I tell you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say the exact same. So yeah, so there was all right, what was I talking about? Like, yeah. Well, so Wendy, let me ask you this. I'm just curious. What were your who were your earliest influences? Like, who did you see that you're like, oh, this is it for me?
I mean,
Right?
I also, because like as a woman, I'm imagining this was like the 80s more, 90s. Like they must have been a lot tougher coming up in comedy.
80s. Well, there were a bunch of female comedians in Boston at the time.
Mhm.
Lauren Dombrowski. She then went on to run Mad TV.
Oh, wow.
And she's no longer with us, but
Oh.
she was so influential to me. Linda Smith, who now teaches comedy out of New York. But my like global influences, I loved Woody Allen.
Okay.
And I loved Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Howie's funny.
Joan Rivers, Gary Shandling, and Stephen Wright. I saw Stephen Wright on TV on my little black and white set in my college dorm room, and I was like mesmerized.
Wow.
And then I
Yeah.
got on a plane to go home to New York, and he was on the plane. I see him get on the plane. And as he's walking back, I go, I know who that is. It's Art Garfunkel. And then I realized who it was. And I was going to say something to him when he got off. I was going to say one of his jokes to him. The joke is, I think you're missing a buttonhole. And but he never got off the plane. And to this day, I'm like, that is only Stephen Wright could not get, like, what did he never take off? I don't know where it is. But he is probably in my top 3. My favorite comedian now is Brian Kiley, who started in Boston. And then he went on to write for Conan for the entire time Conan was on the air. But he's also a stand-up writer and a novelist. And I just think he's the the greatest. And Jake Johansson, who I think started in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Jake growing up too. I love Jake. His pacing, his timing, his delivery. It's so good.
Yeah.
Stephen Wright makes a lot of sense to me because he's a great writer. Sal and I have a Stephen Wright story.
Oh yeah, tell her, Reg. Tell her about the time you and I saw Stephen Wright.
Hold on. Before you say that, I just got to say this. I saw Stephen Wright on television years ago when I was a kid, young, and I loved him. I did. I loved him. I loved the subtlety of things. I thought he was just really funny I remember this one joke he had where he had a glass of water and he's trying to put it on his stool, right? But it keeps tipping off the edge of the stool, right? It keeps tipping off the edge of the stool. And then finally he's just like, and he reaches over and he moves the stool over, right? Which cracks me up because obviously you just move over.
Right.
You just move over. But he sat there doing this 4 times and then finally moves the stool over. Cracked me up. I loved him at that point. Now Sal and I go see him. And in my defense, I had worked that day. Just because I had a day job. I worked that day, 10 hours. Okay, tell the story, Sal.
8 minutes in, Wendy, I turned to my left hearing the snoring. I'm like, what is going on? And Reggie Steele slept through all Stephen Wright's set.
No, I didn't sleep. I saw the beginning.
But I woke up the last 5 minutes with their applause
You were
break.
mesmerized.
Well, what happened was I was super excited. I had worked that day. I was super tired, and I work a laborer's job, right? And he comes out. He does a couple jokes. He's talking, and then he breaks out the guitar and he starts doing a medley thing, and it put me to sleep.
Lullaby.
But the thing was, and this is what happened, Wendy, is that I fell asleep and I woke up, but I thought Sal had fell asleep too. So I thought we were in this together. Like I was thinking like, oh, God, dude, we fell asleep. He was like, no, you fell asleep.
Telling everybody, look at Reg.
But
Where was that?
What was that? Sal? Was
the Wilton or nice theater in SF? We were given the
Yeah.
tickets too, and Reggie just fell asleep in front of our host like that.
I
So rude.
I felt so bad. I was so excited to see him because I love Stephen Wright, but I
Who
was so
booked
tired.
that? Who books that? No.
Yeah.
I love comedians.
I do too.
I love comedians because I love laughing with other comedians.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm generalizing here, but most of us have depressive sides. And when you're doing comedy, this is such a good antidote to that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if I was a therapist, I would just say, you know what, go to a comedy club.
Well, laugh at somebody else's pain, right? I love comedy my whole life. I used to watch it all the time. I watch it incessantly. I watch One Night Stand on HBO. Anybody who came on, the Judy Tenua and Jake Johansson, like I watched everybody's. But I never thought about doing it. I was funny in school. I was always funny. People always asked me to, like, I would remember everyone's jokes and I would come in and tell the people what happened. But I never once thought about doing it growing up. I just always.
So what changed?
It's a pretty cool story. I was working with this guy named Dan Curry, and Dan was like, yo, man, you're really funny. You ever think about doing stand-up? And I was like, nah, I never thought about it. I love it. I love watching it. And it looks easy to me, right? And he was like, yo, you should do it. And so he gave me a notebook and a pen and told me to start writing down everything I thought was funny. I did that for a long time. And then he comes to me, he goes, have you done an open mic yet? And I was like, what's an open mic? No clue. Now, mind you, in college, I played basketball. So my focus was different. I played Division I basketball. So I was focused on trying to get my degree and playing basketball. And that's where my focus was. I wasn't thinking about, anything funny, right? In that regard. So I did that for a long time. And then he asked me about an open mic and I didn't know what it was. And he basically was like, that's a place where you can go and try the things you've been writing about. We're walking one day, we pick up a thing in San Francisco called The Guardian. And on the back of it, it has the San Francisco Comedy College. He takes out his phone, he calls a number. He's like, I leave my information. I go to the workshop about how to do stand-up or whatever the case may be. I was like, sounds great, but it's $325. And Dan goes, I go, I'm not gonna pay that much for the thing. He goes, if you had the money, would you take the class? I go, yeah. So he takes out his checkbook, he writes a check for $325, gives it to me. And I go, I go, you're really willing to give me this much money for something you think I can do? He was like, yeah. He's like, try it. If you don't like it, I won't bother you again. I took the class. I loved it. And then here we are.
Is he your sugar daddy or what?
Can I hit him up for some money?
Yeah, really.
Is he a comedian?
No, Dan is not a comedian, but you know what? Dan was Dan, he played basketball at St. Mary. I went to St. Mary's College in California. Dan is he's 6'10, he's very handsome. He's a biracial guy, black and white. He got this curly hair, strong jawline. And Dan was an actor. He was the one that was like, yo, he's like, once you start doing stand-up, you need to become an actor. He's like, start doing acting because this is where it is. So, and at that time, Dan was actually, he had done tons of commercials. He'd done local stuff. He was just one of those guys who just kind of, he was older. He was like, yo, you can do more than just come to work and go home, right?
So he took you under his wing.
To some degree. He kind of, he took me under his wing for a moment. And then once he let me go, then he was like, that's it. And even now I'll see him every once in a while and I go, Dan, thank you so much. He was like, oh, nah, he was like, I just did a thing. Don't worry about it. So.
That's amazing. I did America's Got Talent in 2014, and there was a driver, like they had these drivers driving us to different locations. And I said to the driver, you are so funny, you should do stand-up. And then he contacted me a couple of years ago to say he moved to LA and now he does stand-up.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's
So
cool.
you
That's
never
really
know
awesome.
what like seed you can give somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't give him cash though, but
They believe in him that much.
You're like, I just gave him advice. That was my currency. He's like, can you help me out? You're like, that's it. You should do it. So
I think there are coyotes in my backyard right now because I'm hearing my dogs bark. So can I put you on hold?
oh,
yeah, go
sure,
ahead.
sure.
Handle those Korean dogs.
Oh,
Okay, so talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you,
sure.
Wendy.
Oh, dude, I love Wendy.
What is it?
She's so funny, man.
Oh, she's talking to the dogs right now.
Yeah.
Ed.
What is it? It's have you ever heard coyotes?
Man, I heard them. Yeah, I've seen them. Like I remember one time in San Francisco, like because I wasn't far from that little the Presidio area, the wooded
Right.
area, and I stopped at a stop sign, and man, it looked like a gray, like like a dog that was ragged but rough and tall
Yeah.
and lanky, and like and it just like trotted right by the car at the stop sign. I just watched it go
Wow.
by off into the woods. It's like, damn,
But he was tall because coyotes, I guess they can come in different sizes, but have you ever heard
Yeah.
them? Because they sound like dogs in pain if they're yipping. They sound
Yeah.
man. Theo and I went
I'm
for a
back.
hike. Oh, okay, welcome back.
We're talking
real-
coyotes.
So I'll just tell him this story. My son and I went to we're going for a hike. Like there's all these regional parks up here in Northern California. So we're going for this hike. And as we get going a little bit, we start to hear it sounds like a dog in pain, right?
Yes.
Right. And I don't know what it is. We're hiking and we keep hearing it and it's kind of moving. And he and I both got shook. And we were like, I don't know what's happening right now. And
Right.
we're about to go on this trail. We turned around and walked back, right? And and later I found out that it was a coyote, right? Because I'd never heard one before. I'd never heard what they sound like.
We hear them in the vet. We live like in a place. A lot of coyotes come out at night, and it sounds like they're in a fraternity party, and they're like attacking a rabbit, and they're all passing it around. But they like, I don't know if my dogs would fight with them, or I have no idea. And
Okay.
so
Okay,
it wasn't a
every-
coyote.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goddamn bee.
Telling all its friends.
Yeah,
All right,
Uh,
Red. Should we let her go soon?
yeah,
What, you
we'll
done?
let
I
you
got-
go, Wendy. This
I've
has
got
had
been
one.
so much fun.
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing it. I told Sal earlier when we first started doing this and we're thinking about people that we can have on as guests, you're one of the first names that came up for me.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Totally.
so
I
thank
owe
for
you
taking
money.
it.
That's why. I owe you.
I had a question to ask you, Wendy.
Yeah.
This is a little knob of trivia. I discovered that your late father-in-law was one of the Sherman brothers who wrote a lot of the songs for the Disney. He wrote the Mary Poppins, Jungle Book. It's a Small World. Like, is
Wow.
there still
Wait.
Don't hit
like?
me.
He wrote
Yeah.
It's a Small World. It's a small
Yeah, I
world.
mean, do
Wow.
checks residuals still show up to the house for It's a Small World?
Oh, you only wish. But yes, my husband is the son of Robert Sherman, and Robert and his brother Richard wrote a lot of the music for Disney in the 60s. And my husband actually inspired one of the songs. He came home from school and his dad said, "What did you do today?" And he said, "We got the polio vaccine." And my father-in-law said, "You let them give you a shot at school?" And my husband said, "No, they just put it on a sugar cube and they put the sugar cube in a spoon and we just ate it like that." And my father-in-law wrote, "Spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down."
Wow.
Holy cow!
Wow.
But I know, that's mind blowing. And my husband, though, like their music runs through the whole family. My stepsons are both insanely musical. And my husband is musical too. He also wrote on a show called Boy Meets World, which you might
Oh
have.
yeah!
Oh yeah. Yeah.
watched. So he was one of the producers, my husband.
Wow.
Holy
That's
cow.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
that's your age probably, like that you watched those shows. So yeah, that is trivia.
I mean,
That's
that movie, because
awesome.
I've watched that movie Saving Mr. Banks, and I want to say that was about those two brothers.
Yes, they portrayed my father-in-law, BJ Novak, portrayed him in that movie, and
Yeah.
Jason Schwartzman was Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, my husband and his cousin wrote and directed, or not wrote, but directed a documentary about the Sherman brothers called The Boys.
Okay.
Because you know their music. You've heard Jungle Book. You've
Yeah.
seen Mary Poppins.
Wow.
Tom Sawyer. They wrote the movie Tom Sawyer.
Wow.
So you know all this, but you don't know them, and
Right.
they
Right.
didn't get along, and they wrote songs together for 60 years or something.
And they
Wow.
didn't get along. They created this without getting along. What would
Right.
happen if they got along? Right? Like who right?
No, but it was like they sparked each other. They
Yeah.
worked off of each other. They're like the Israeli army doesn't care who you are. I don't know why I'm saying that. They don't care who you are. Just make the thing good. Like
Right.
Right.
like let's do the best we can. There's no hierarchy here. So the brothers were like, they just wanted to have the best product song possible.
See, now
Wow.
I know why Sal and I aren't bigger. We get along far too
Wow.
well.
I'm trying my best. Maybe.
I know. I'm like, I gotta try harder not to like this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
we
guys
create
are
some
fun
gold.
together.
Yeah, really. So wow, that's amazing. Well,
Wow.
Wendy,
Well,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for taking the time. It's been really
Reggie, I
wonderful.
love you. And Sal, I love you. You're a new
Back at
friend.
you. Yeah.
Love you too.
And
You're amazing.
I'm gonna follow you.
And I'm
on
gonna,
social-
I'll keep watching. I'll keep following the Twitter feed, and I'll just keep liking everything.
Yeah. Look forward to the book. Do you have a title for it
Yes.
The title is There Are No Calories in Crumbs,
yet?
and other tweets.
Oh, that's
Nice,
great.
nice,
That's
nice.
great.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Wendy, you have a wonderful day. Thank
Group
you once
hug.
again.
Group hug.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
Wendy.
Thank you so much. Here we go.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
All right, Reds. There we go.
I was gonna say you got to say your signature line.
There it is.
There it is. So, oh man, she's a juggernaut, dude.
Nah,
She
I'm
just
glad I
came
brought
in.
up that little Disney nugget. That was very interesting.
Right? That's awesome,
crazy, man. And
Yeah.
that was cool about hearing about Johnny Carson.
Man. Yeah. I'm sorry that it kind of sucks that she didn't get that they didn't catch the okay, because
You know what? I wanted to ask about that too, because you hear it so much. And then when she did it, it was like the early 90s, I think. Like, so it's towards the end or late 80s during his run. So like everybody knows that rep. So then I'm always like looking at the comic, like right after your set, are you kind of like side eye and like, when do I look over? Is he gonna give it to me? Like that would fuck
Like,
me up
is
more
it-
than it's like.
But hold up though. And so just so our audience knows, because a lot of people don't know this if they're not comedians. The thing about doing the Johnny Carson show at that time was the jumping off point for a lot of comedians' careers. If you did Johnny Carson and you did well, and Johnny gave you an okay, that meant okay, you were good, right?
That's like the blue check mark now.
That's like the
on
blue
Twitter
check
and
mark, right?
Instagram.
But let's take it a step further. If you got the okay and a welcome to come sit on the couch with
You
him,
were set.
then you were set. That meant that your career, you now have a career as a stand-up comedian, and you'll be on the road, you'll be headlining, you'll get a special, you'll get hosting gigs.
Man, there were
TV
way more
spots.
clubs back then. And like she said, like people were always out at the
Right,
shows, which is
right.
crazy.
You know, the other thing that she mentioned too that I thought was really telling was, you know, she was talking about being in Massachusetts and then going to Rhode Island and going to Vermont and Connecticut. And the thing about back east in that area, the states are so small, right? The states are so small that you can get to different states in 2 hours. You can go to Philadelphia. You can be in New York.
Yeah,
You can be in Virginia, right? And every place has their own clubs. It's like you can actually make a living. A lot of comics, even now, just make a living doing back east, doing stuff in New York and surrounding area, right? They don't have to go to the Midwest. They don't have to go down south. They don't have to come out west.
Especially now with how much travel it costs.
Exactly. So man, she's funny, man. She's exactly as I remember her. She looked exactly the same. She hadn't changed. Funny as hell and nice. Dude, I was so happy that I had the opportunity to work with her at Rooster.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Week. Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. Like it's so long ago, and she's still cool with it.
Yeah, she like 17 years ago. I'm like, holy cow! Like, it wasn't that long ago. More like 7 years ago, right? Maybe. But she did mention someone that I can also reach out to get us on the podcast, and the person that she lost the competition to in LA.
Oh yeah, what's his name?
Mr. John Hinton. That's my dude.
Oh yeah,
John Hinton. He's Overton Wakefield from Living Single, the show with Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think of the other girl. She was on Facts of Life. She played Tootie on Facts of Life.
Oh yeah, I just saw her on Celebrity Family Feud the other day.
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but yeah, and so yeah, I know John Hinton. John and I worked together. We hit it off. Funny thing about John and I, well, I won't even get into it. I will cover it once I get him on. We'll get him on as a guest.
All right. Well, then wrap us up, Reggie.
All right. Well, I hope you guys.
Oh shit! I just looked him up. John Hinton. You know where he's from?
He's from Cleveland. He's from Ohio. He's from Ohio. But
no, he's from East Cleveland.
He's from East Cleveland. Okay, yeah, I know. We discussed the whole Cleveland, John. He's
Brown
a big
times.
Yes, sir. So John Hinton, man, I'll reach out to him, see if we can get him on here. I want to say a big shout out and a big thanks to Wendy Liebman. She came through and she did what she does. I'm looking forward to the book. It's going to be hilarious.
That's a good title. No calories in the crumbs.
No calories in the crumbs. Thank you for coming out, Wendy. We really appreciate it. And to all our listeners and viewers, thank you for participating and watching and liking and viewing and sharing. We love doing this. We're gonna keep doing it. Hope you had a good time. I know I did. That's Sal.
Me
Kalani.
too, Reg.
Yeah, that's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele, and this is Spitballin. Peace.